Good afternoon. Recently, a video was made by Paulinrightdivision, and they raised the question, who is the Book of Hebrews? And this is really an attack on the King James Bible. And the fact is, the King James Bible makes very clear who is the Book of Hebrews. And it says very clearly Paul wrote it. And they didn't get this out of thin air. They didn't make it up. They got it from the Greek text. Beza has it, Stephanus has it, and Erasmus has it in their text. So they got it from the Greek manuscripts. So clearly, this is not something that to treat lightly. Now, the questions raised were the issue first, the title. You're saying Paul was not the apostle to the Hebrews. That's just the way the title sounds. Paul the apostle is his title. If you go to 1st and 2nd Timothy, you'll see that he also says he's the apostle, and then it's to Timothy. And clearly he's not saying he's the apostle to Timothy. So it's just the way it's really saying Paul the apostle to the Hebrews, and showing to the Hebrews is who he's writing to. It's not saying he's the apostle to the Hebrews. He's just Paul the apostle, he's writing to the Hebrews. So that's a normal way of writing. It's a way of putting it. And it doesn't mean that he was saying he's the apostle to the Hebrews, when we know he was the apostle to the Gentiles. Second thing is that this issue of Hebrews 2:3, which is brought up constantly, doesn't say that Paul got the gospel, that the writer here was getting the gospel from anybody else than the Lord Jesus Christ. It says, "How shall we escape if we neglect so great salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord, who was confirmed unto us, but then heard him." All Peter and John did when they spoke to Paul was confirm. He didn't get it from them. He confirmed it. They told him things going on, eyewitnesses to what Christ had done in the Gospels and said in the Gospels, and so they confirmed what he already knew, that the Lord had spoken to him. He wasn't getting the gospel from them. So I don't know why that people have a hard time with this word confirm. Third, also the point is that in all the Pauline epistles, he always tells, the epistles always say who it's going to the Romans, to the Corinthians, to the Galatians. The other people, John, James, and Peter, don't have their names on their epistles. So this is actually a Pauline aspect, so it makes sense. Now, why wasn't a salutation put in the Book of Hebrews? Because Paul was unpopular, and so his name would be kept out in order not to cause an offense to the Jews, and so that would make sense in the actual text, that it would not be brought up that he was writing them as Paul, so not to give offense to the Jew, and that was their problem. They had a great problem with Paul. So his name would be kept out. Now, the crux of the matter is that you didn't believe what the King James Bible says, and you're not. This was not a problem in the early church. Origen brought this problem up. Origen was one who questioned who wrote the Book of Hebrews, and he believed Paul wrote the Book of Hebrews. It's typical as Origen. He always spoke out of both sides of his mouth. And so even though he believed Paul wrote the Book of Hebrews, but how can we really know? And that was his most opponent, doubt, causing doubt. The issue of doctrinal issues, I believe Book of Hebrews will be the major doctrinal work during the tribulation. And just as Romans is today for the church, that's not a problem with that. Paul's writing to a different group. He's writing to the first century Jews. Going back into the issue of Hebrews 6 is not really talking about losing the salvation. It's talking about going to apostasy, back into apostasy. A Jew was very hard to go move into grace. We saw that with Peter, who pulled back from fellowshipping with the Gentiles, saved Gentiles, in the book of Galatians. It was very hard for the Jew to break away from the old customs and traditions, and so that was what he was talking about. No one loses their salvation in the book of Hebrews. So the fact is that if you believe the King James Bible, there's no question about who wrote the Book of Hebrews. Paul did. And when people come up and try to say Paul didn't write the Book of Hebrews, they're saying the King James Bible is wrong. And if they can find another place where the heading is wrong, I'd be happy to listen to that. As far as I know, that none of the other headings are wrong. Because unless you're a high critic, that's what the high critics do. They attack the authorships. That's what they do, and they base it on Well, that style is different. Isaiah had two Isaiahs, but two different styles. So this is what you get into when you start going down that path and not believing what the King James Bible is telling you. So when someone raises a question, all they're doing is repeating what Origen raised. Yea, hath God said. You can't really trust the headings. You can't trust the subscriptions. You can't trust it. If you can't trust something in the Bible, you might as well throw it out because it becomes useless. Where's it in? Where does it end? Now again, the heading of Hebrews is from the Greek text, and there was never a problem under the early centuries until Origen brought it up as a problem, and then everybody started questioning it and doubting the heading. But Paul wrote the book of Hebrews. I have great confidence Paul wrote the book of Hebrews, and there's any of the problems that are raised really not problems. They're just really questions that people want to say, well, certainly we're not right this way, or this certainly might do this way. Paul could certainly write any style he wanted to do, a different message to dealing with a different subject. But nothing in the book of Hebrews contradicts anything in the book of Romans or any of the church age epistles. The fact is, Romans 9 through 11 spoke about the future of the Jews. And so that would be consistent with what the book of Hebrews is talking about, and why God allowed Paul to write the great treatise to the Jews, because of his great heart, his great desire to see them saved. And so it makes, and in the early church, the Hebrew epistle was actually among the Pauline epistles. It was not set in front of the general epistles. It was actually among the Pauline epistles. So this is just a short video to explain that when these questions come up, just ignore them. They're just scholarship questions to raise doubt, and that's how Satan operates. Yea, hath God said. But when you read your King James Bible, you got a heading there that tells you exactly who wrote the book of Hebrews, Paul. Amen. Thank you.